Hi, my name is Arturo Hilario. I'm with El Observador newspaper in San Jose. How are you today, Corey, Melissa, and Leslie?
Hola Arturo.
Great, Arturo. How are
Hola.
you?
Very
Hey.
good. Thank you guys for taking the time to speak about In the Heights.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us speak to you about it.
Oh yeah. For the first question, I was just curious to know what your first experiences were with theater, whether being part of productions or the first play you saw.
Wow.
Mm.
I think the first play I saw was like a school play. In like, I must have been in like third grade or something. And like fifth graders were doing like a musical in my school. And I just remember being in so much awe of everyone that was on that stage and thinking that I could never do that because I was like painfully shy and more of like a sports girl. Like I played basketball my entire life. So it was like a very like different world, like the sports kids and the arts kids. But I remember seeing people on that stage and like them singing and dancing and acting. And I was like, I wish I could do that.
You doing it, girl.
I'm doing it.
Doing it well. Right. For me, my first experience with theater was in high school. I did American musical. I decided to do American musical theater in high school, and I honestly like struggled a little bit because I had relied so much on my voice that I, had never experienced like doing it all at once. Like, you're learning the choreo, you're learning the scene, and you're learning the song all at once. And I remember being a part of this musical called Big River in high school. And like, that was like me, like really, opening my eyes to like, wow, you really can embody so many things all at once and tell a scene through a song. And then, it's just like a whole new world opened up to me when I experienced that. And then I continued to do it throughout high school. And yeah, that was like my first experience with theater. Fell in love with it then.
Now look at you.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think that I'd be doing from
crazy,
this
right?
high school experience.
Yeah, it's like wow, because it's like we, I just, I just always feel incredibly blessed to not only be doing what you love, but to call it your career and to know that like that came from like a little dream, a little idea, and being the kid who was always like a little different, but like the family like would always put in front, so like speak or
Show
like
off.
to show off to the other family,
Show and tell.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I can't remember like my first experience with like seeing a play or anything. I don't think it really happened until I was in high school, but I grew up around a family of singers and my grandmother's brothers and sisters, and in the church, which is a very sort of, which also comes from the, or theatrical comes from that as well. And so yeah, it's always kind of like been around me, and then went to high school, but it wasn't until I got to New York, like my first musical that I ever saw was In the Heights. So I had seen, I think, plays before that, but like musicals and people singing and like Leslie said, that thing about being able to combine all of them and not just be a singer who acted and danced, but to be able to do it all and to do it all compellingly. When I saw In the Heights, not only did I see that, but I was like, and they look like me, like, and they from where I'm from, and like, like it was like, wow, this is dope. And people call, with theater, it's like that's where we cut our teeth. Like that's the theater off Broadway, off, yeah, it's like that's where you train. That's where the training happens. That's where you learn and try stuff, and so yeah.
Thank you. So in the Heights, you three play the roles of Nina, Benny, and Vanessa, and I was wondering if you could give me an idea of your characters in the story, what their circumstances are at the start of the film, and what you appreciated most or what attracted you to the role. You can answer any part of that.
I play Vanessa in the film, and
Let me tell you, Corey, You look good. You look good in
You
there.
look real good.
All the fabrics and all that. No, nah,
So you
man.
guys really advanced.
Yeah, no, I play Benny, and it for me, Benny is a bit of an anchor in Washington Heights. I think he, I this is sort of what I kind of came up with, and but I think Benny came to the Heights when he was very, very young and grew up in the Heights, and so he, came from another borough. Maybe his family moved, you know what I mean, moved in, and he's always considered that his home. He's always been, so he was a bit of an outsider, but he that's his dream, is to grow up there and to start a business there and to keep the money uptown, so to as we used to say, like, and Benny, he's, him and Nina were in a relationship, and then she went off to college, and when she came,
He dumped me.
ball and chain, Nina.
Ball and chain.
Tell the story straight. This is where I come in.
He let her go and fulfill her dreams, and so
Yes.
and
He's
didn't want to hold
generous.
her back, and so
Yes.
Benny, but he's always sort of just been clear-eyed to me, and just like that, he's ambitious and goal-oriented, but again, reminding people that when you're home, and you can take that wherever you go. I love that about Benny.
Yes. Nina loves that about him too. So yes.
Bless you.
Nina, has this beautiful love story with Benny, and it's a little bit, there's some tension there at the beginning of the film, because she does go off to college, and she feels a little bit, almost like, man, you just let me go off to this faraway place and didn't try to hold me back. And she almost projects her fears onto, Benny and her relationship. And Benny reminds her, like, hey, I want you to like dream as big as you are meant to dream, and go off and like be this beautiful light that you are. And I don't want to hold you back, because you deserve that. And that's a very generous way to love. I wish we, it takes time to learn how to, I think we all are learning how to love in that way. It's very unconditional, and very hoping that, that the person that you love becomes is able to fulfill their fullest potential. But Nina, at the beginning of the film, she comes home, and she doesn't feel as as accepted at Stanford as people may think, especially her neighborhood where she is the one who made it out. She's a little genius, she's the girl who's gotten straight A's all the way through. She wants to become the mayor eventually, and everybody thinks that she's all good. And we don't gotta, if we gotta worry about anything or anyone, is not Nina, So they're just excited to see her and to hear all the amazing stories about how she's doing at Stanford. And really, she's debating about dropping out. So you see her go through finding ownership of her story, and like really finding the purpose in why she will go back to Stanford, beyond, not only beyond herself, but what really lights her up. Because I think she feels the burden and responsibility of, the sacrifices her family and her neighborhood has made in order for her to get to where she's at. Yeah. But she never took real ownership of it until, she comes back home and she sees who she's really doing it for. And so, yeah, that's Nina.
And Vanessa starts the movie with like, she's had this dream of leaving Washington Heights, and so she constantly tries to distance herself from the place that she grew up in, and she wants to leave. And at the beginning, she thinks she's like a step away. She's like, I'm ready. Like I got the viewing of the apartment. Like I'm done. I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna say adios, amigos. And very quickly that doesn't work out in her favor, and she gets very frustrated. And it's this, her journey is one of a very common journey of people that feel stuck at home and that feel the need to leave their hometown to be able to grow and make their dreams come true. But it's also a journey of like opening your eyes to the blessings around you, because sometimes when you have your mind set on one thing and like, I have to get out, I have to be the girl that like made it out and found success, like small town girl moves to big city and like makes it, but that energy focus on that keeps her blind to all the people that love her and that see her for who she truly is, and that inspire her art and that lift her up. And I think that's her journey in the movie. It's one of like finally seeing the beautiful place that she's from, and the inspiration that she can find in that, and how she doesn't necessarily have to like get out to be happy.
Yeah. So good. Huge
Thank
lesson.
you. Trying to pick my last question. So what was it like filming in the place where years prior Lin-Manuel walked and he jotted down his notes and created this story? And do you have a favorite memorable takeaway from working on the film overall, like filming there and filming a musical in general?
I'd say just for your first question, it felt like home. And, I've been saying this, we've all been saying this. I think for all of us, it felt like just returning to, a space where you felt so yourself and so seen, for many reasons, but a lot of them being because the people involved really put a spotlight on everybody feeling welcome, and also because a lot of us really know this neighborhood, and if we don't know this neighborhood firsthand, we know a neighborhood like it. And so I personally, being a New York born and having family in the Heights, being a Bronx born, like it really was like coming back home, and it was beautiful to be able to experience that on my first occasion doing a movie, because it's a new, like very big, scary, lots of pressure experience where you don't want to mess up and you feel like, I've never done this before. So I hope, like it's kind of like the first day of school, like, I hope I fit in, and I don't know, I might not know, everything that everybody else knows. And when you get to do that in a space where you really are home, and you feel like home, and you have people, a memory I would say is that I had like my aunt and my cousin like stumble upon set, and they were on their block, and they were like, oh snap, wait, they're shooting here, like my niece is here, hold on, you gotta let me in, my niece is here. Those things like gave me life and reminded me that I was home. And it was very, almost like art imitates life imitates art, paths crossing in a way for myself and Nina, in the sense that, she's looking for home again, and wanting to feel that again. And so that it was beautiful. And also having Lin come, we were in his neighborhood, so he would be walking down and just seeing us with his kids, whenever we were shooting any number on the block. So that was beautiful.
Yeah, like we'd see Lin taking his kids to school. He'd have to walk through the park, and we're like, oh, you here to, he's like, nah, I gotta take my son to school. That, and we just, there were so many beautiful memories. I remember when I was shooting Straight Outta Compton, people would bring their families and they would sit on top of the rooftops while we were sitting, and people would just come and gather and bring food, and that was their way of showing love. That happened on our set as well. And like people would literally be like, making food, and they would bring it downstairs, and like that happened like twice on set. And like the neighborhood would just gather, and people see in the film, maybe in the back walking by, it's like the neighborhood, like people waving, and it's important to get also the trust of the neighborhood. But when it's people who grew up there, when it's people who making the film who grew up there, who know the community, then it's all love, I think. And it was.
Yeah. And it was incredible that Lin it was so important to him to shoot in Washington Heights, because it would have been so easy and probably cheaper to go somewhere else in another city and fake New York, you know, but we were in the area where the story takes place, where it's meant to take place, with the people that are locals to the area. And so automatically for us as actors, you feel the energy, and it helps you get into character, and it helps you tell the story. And I think that was an incredible experience. And I'm so happy that like John and Lynn were so adamant about shooting on location as much as possible. We were there for like 7 weeks. We were in Washington Heights, like,
or longer.
most of the time. So it was a really, really special thing and a gift to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Corey, Melissa, and Leslie. Appreciate the time. Good luck to all of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thank you.